Words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart. We accept them in thy sight over us. We got to sing it together. We got to shout it together. By the rivers of Babylon, where these are gone, and every day when he remembers Zion, what the big carried us away.
Can I ask you all to seat, please? For those at the back, there's some seats here at the front. I'd just like us to take some deep breaths, and I invite you, if you want to close your eyes. You know, breath is really important, and throughout the service you'll see me go quiet sometimes, and it's just about taking a breath and acknowledging our space. And so, while we're taking these couple of minutes of silence, it's just an opportunity to let go of all our love and goodbyes that we did, and met people and bumped into friends and family, and then settle ourselves and remember why we're here, and see it as a way of just blessing this beautiful space as we've come together to both celebrate the life and also send him back home, our brother Dennis Douglas. And while you sat just breathing for a couple of minutes, I'm just going to light this candle as another way of blessing the space for us today, and asking Spirit to come and be with us and make this place a beautiful, sacred place for our service today. And in your own time, open your eyes and come back to the room. So welcome, family, friends, and community, as we come together this cold morning to celebrate the life of Brother Douglas, Dennis Douglas. My name's Reverend Malika, and I'm not your normal minister. I'm an interfaith minister, which means that I've read 14 different faiths, and I've studied people of no faith. We're like an umbrella of ministers. If you think of the point at the bottom of the umbrella, where all the different faiths lie, there's people there of no faith as well. And the idea is that it's just the one source, and it's the one light at the top. And so we just weave into whichever faith we're invited into. And we're also passionate about people. People in general are really important to us. We are truly the bridge between faith and no faith, bringing love to the focus. Whether you have a set belief or not, or believe in the power of people, we're just here to seek to promote your wholeness. Can I ask you to turn off your mobile phones or put them on silent? If you need to answer a call, feel free to leave. If there's any little people or children in the room, I don't mind if they roam the space. Children are our future, and I want them to feel welcome here. From what I know, there's no fire alarms, and if anyone wants to use the toilets, they're just at the back here on the right, on the left-hand side. And please feel free to leave and come back if you want to. There's no pressure on you having to sit in your seat all the time. For those that don't know, Brother Dennis practiced the Black Hebrew Israelite faith, which is deeply rooted in Hebrew scriptures, in the sense of the lineage and covenant of Hebrew Israelites. Coming from the line of Jacob, their belief is firmly grounded in the Old Testament, the Torah, Psalms, and Prophets, and in living under God's covenant rather than through modern denominational Christianity. Their Sabbath days are Saturday. They're passionate about racism, the black struggle and reparations. Their focus is on cultural pride and history and spirituality. And they have adopted some Jewish and Christian traditions as well. They have no alignment with the Rastafarian faith. And I'm inviting and I'm asking everyone here today, the same way that we loved Brother Dennis, I'm asking you to just respect and honour his faith that he chose today in this space as well. It doesn't mean that your personal faith will be forgotten. I'm just inviting you to respect the choice that he made throughout his later years in his life. Instead of using the word God today, we will use the word Yahweh, which is the Israelite version of God. And so whenever you hear me say that, you're more than welcome to follow me with the same word as well. And equally, you don't have to. You can just stay as you are. The choice is completely yours. start with an open prayer, which is from the Israelites, and a Bekoch prayer, meaning asking God to use his great power to unite spiritual knots, accept prayers, strengthen and purify and protect his people. Embodying redemption and spiritual connection. We beg you, with the great power of your right hand, unite our bundled sins and fate. Accept your people's song. Alleviate and purify us, O awesome one. Please, special one, those who seek your oneness, guard them like the pupil of an eye. Bless them, purify them, pity them. May your righteousness always reward them. Powerful Holy One, in your abundant goodness, guide your congregation. Holy Master, with your holy seven, lift up your dispersed people, creation. Bless us, sanctify us, have mercy on us. May your righteousness always reward us. Give thanks and praise, Yahweh. Can I invite Sister Pauline to come now and to read the eulogy?
Sisters and brothers with me. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and thank you for coming. Thank you for coming to this long-awaited laying to rest of our dearly beloved brother, Dennis. Now, this venue might not be the traditional church, but as believers, we know that the scripture says, that whilst buildings serve a practical purpose for gathering and worship, it's not essential for God's presence, because God lives within the hearts of believers and not in buildings. Now, Dennis was born at St. Mary's Hospital in Manchester on the 14th of January in 1962. He was the youngest of 3 children, with Errol and myself, born to parents Mr. and Mrs. Aston and Eleanor Douglas. We first lived on Shrewsbury Street in Old Trafford, where we built many happy memories with our parents. I recall how I used to love going to play in Hullard Park with my little brother. I particularly remember that my dad was a corner of the community and used to hold weekly domino sessions at our house in the 2-roomed cellar full of tables and chairs. Errol was in Jamaica at the time. Although not really allowed, myself and Dennis would love to sneak down into the cellar, where the players would often give us money, a halfpenny, penny, or a threepenny bit, and if on a winning streak, even a sixpence. And I remember mine and Dennis's excitement as we counted our collection to see if it totaled a shilling or maybe even half a crown. I remember our annual trips to Blackpool, Mum, Dad, Errol, Dennis and myself to see the lights, and us eating corned beef and hardo bread sandwiches with our Corona drink in the back of the Zephyr Zodiac, where we played and joked along the way. I have memories of going to the cinema of Brooks Bar with Dennis on Saturday mornings to watch Laurel and Hardy and the Three Stooges and Kung Fu films. And we would come out all kicking and chopping like Bruce Lee. I recall times when my older brother Errol would sneak out when our parents were at work. On one occasion, my dad found out and he chug-locked the front door so Errol couldn't get in. But regardless of the consequences, like a faithful brother, Dennis came to the rescue and opened the back bedroom window so he could climb in. Dennis and I went to Stretford Road School, where Dennis was very popular. He had lots of friends: Errol Thompson, Errol Walters, known as Buckhead, Paul Spencer, also known as Spanner, Cedric, Carl Duncan, Earl Stevens, Trevor Grosser, Gary Thompson, Floyd Dodo, to name a few. God rest the souls of those who have passed away. Dennis was very protective of me in school. I could run up my mouth on anyone, knowing that my little brother would always come to my aid and protect me. It was like having a guardian angel. He was the kind of person who would jump in and fight anybody's battles if you were his friend, and he felt you had a just cause. He soon acquired the reputation of Dennis the Menace, not because he was a menace, but because it rhymed with Dennis and you just didn't mess with our kid. After Stretford Road Junior School burnt down, he went to Trafford Park School. After that, he went to secondary school at Great Stone, where he thrived and continued to form friendships. However, he didn't stay there long because after the breakup of our parents' marriage, he left and went to live in Wythenshawe with my father and his other family, Miss Lentine, Diane, Owen, Sonia, Carl and Pat. I cannot give much history of his time in Wythenshawe, but I do know that Dennis went to Newall Green School and again forged relationships with people like Derek Johnson, Darren Anderson, Bernard, Wendy, Sean, Joey Nevins, Paul Leader, Alfonso Buller, and a lot of others. He would regularly come to Old Trafford at weekends, though, to see Mum and to collect his Kellogg's cereal from her. He often brought Pat, who he also took to the cinema, where they loved to watch Joe 90. There was a time when Pat complained to Dennis about a girl bullying her at school. He said, "Right, let's go and sort her out." Pat thought that Dennis was going to go and deal with her, but instead, being the gentleman he was and not wanting to confront a girl, he hid behind a tree and told Pat, "Now you go and sort her out," giving her confidence to fight her own battles, but letting her know that he was right there to protect her if needed. Our mother remarried and had our three sisters, Abigail, Andrea and Samantha. After finishing school, my mother supported Dennis to go to what's now known as Manchester Metropolitan University, where he acquired his qualifications in youth services, and he went on to secure a very responsible position with Manchester City Council, where he thoroughly enjoyed working with children. He dedicated over 25 years to youth services and giving back to the community. He often took children from Wythenshawe youth clubs out on trips and arranged different workshops, and sometimes involved Abigail and myself in presentations. He was so proud to showcase his family. Dennis would love to go out chasing girls with his mates, including Errol Walters, But they said Dennis always got the girls because he dressed well, could dance, and was charming, and looked like Denzel Washington. Thanks to Monica, Dennis had his first of 3 sons, Akeem, born in 1980. He was constant in Dennis's life, although they did have their differences at times. Due to Dennis's youth work, he had a free membership at Wythenshawe Forum Gym, and he and Akim would often spend sessions training together. They also worked alongside each other over many years on Dennis's various projects. On Akim's 25th birthday, Dennis gave him and his friends exclusive use of the club bar bass. Later on, Dennis grew closer to Akim in supporting him through the grief of losing his mother. Thanks to Debbie and Joe, Reese was born in 1994 and Samuel born in 2008. Dennis was a responsible, proactive father, and when they were young, he often would bring them to Mum's house for Sunday dinner and sometimes took them on holidays and outings. He also tried to instill his work ethic and drive into his sons, trying a patty business with Reese and a candy floss store with Samuel. He bought his house within walking distance of our mother's home. He could turn his hand to anything. He took pride in his house and garden and did a lot of the renovations himself. He kept his house meticulously organized and full of artifacts from his travels, especially Cuba that he loved. Apart from others, myself and Dennis traveled around the Bahamas to Cuba, Turkey, Greece, Cyprus, and Jamaica. Aside from his day job with Manchester City Council, he also kept himself busy and often did secondary jobs like the youth clubs, security on the doors and at football grounds, buying and selling cars, car boot sales. Dennis was an intelligent, caring and considerate man who was highly respected. He was very business-minded, an entrepreneur and full of ambition. He loved jazz music and the saxophone and his motorbike. He was family-orientated and always attended family sessions. He gave away one of my sisters at her wedding in Jamaica and gave away my daughter at her wedding in Hampshire. He was like another father to my children, and I thank him dearly for all the love and support he gave them, especially David. He always said to me, "Pauline, if anything happened to you, I would take care of him." He would have weekends where he'd invite all his nephews to sleepovers at his house. They would go out on trips and play video games and order takeaways in the evenings. They all loved going to stay with Uncle Dennis. He was really good with children and always made an effort to do some sort of activity with them. He hated them being on devices or just watching TV all day. He would take them out on walks and adventures and make up crazy stories along the way. Mum could always call on him to help with any DIY issues, or he knew someone who could help. He restored a massive doll's house for my niece, Kyra, and added a lift and lights. It was absolutely amazing, and she loved it. He would take my sister Samantha to car boot sales. They would stay up late pricing up items, then leave at the crack of dawn. On a Sunday, he would take her to Bolton, where he used to love doing the door work and always had lots of funny stories to tell her, especially about the ladies. Definitely a man about town. He would go to a place called Bar Base. Everyone knew him, and he talked to everyone. He was so popular, and Samantha thought it was so cool to hang out with her big brother. Then he opened Bar Base, a dream he had managed to achieve. He would chat to all the customers, serve behind the bar, clean up if needed, and get really involved in everything. He was so hard-working. He would be so well-dressed and always look forward to his Ted Baker shirts from my sister on his birthday. So many stories we could tell about our brother Dennis. On one occasion, there was a girl making threats to Abigail. Dennis approached her parents and addressed their daughter's behaviour. He was very protective of his sisters and very good at diffusing and handling those situations. We could always rely on support from Dennis when we were pursuing our goals. When our sister Andrea applied for a postgraduate master's degree at Lancaster University and was feeling extremely nervous about the interview, he immediately offered to drive her there and cleared his diary for the day to make the journey. Along the way, they practiced the presentation and he gave her helpful advice, kept her focused and helped her calm her nerves. During the two-part interview, he patiently waited for hours, and on the drive home, they chatted and stopped for food, just the two of them, full of good vibes and love. There were many other drives together, often stopping in Charlton Village for a lager and lime in the sun. My older brother Errol was the founder of Dougie's Caribbean Takeaway on Moss Lane West. It was around this time that another sister on our father's side came over from Jamaica. Her name was Thelma. Many of you might know her as Parpy, and she helped in the shop. When Errol retired, it was taken over by both Dennis and myself, and we worked well together. At different points, it was owned individually. Dennis then started traveling to Cuba in the early 2000s, a country he fell in love with and where he felt at home. He even started a Dougie's Takeaway there. He met Yanesi and eventually got married in 2009 in Havana, Cuba. My son Andrew went to Cuba with him on 2 occasions, but thinking he was going to have a laid-back, relaxing holiday full of fiestas and siestas. Instead, Dennis had him up at the crack of dawn, walking for hours in the hot sun amongst historical sites and ruins. It was there his interest in Black history began, and he developed an interest in collecting historical artifacts and showed an interest in religion. With his work ethic and drive, Dennis continued to expand the business to Dougie's Uptown in Charlton, and also a huge van for outside catering functions. It was around this phase that Amy came into his life. He put 100% into everything he did. He also, I must add, had one granddaughter, Clarice. Dennis loved spending quality time with his family. He would take Mum out on weekly on a Tuesday. They went to a museum in Liverpool, they went to Blackpool, they had scenic drives in the country, talking for hours and stopping off for lunch. This was every week. He dedicated this time to our mother. During COVID, Dennis found his more creative side. During this time, he was also very proactive in helping others and neighbours and people generally in the community. During this time of COVID, when he found his creative side, he would do all sorts of things. He would use pallets to make garden furniture. He took on a vehicle restoration project. He became part of a religious fellowship, as you heard, got baptized, found a love for dogs and dog training, and became an owner of 2. It was after COVID and lockdown that some of us here may have noticed a change in his character, behaviour and comments, which might have alienated some, but I urge you to focus on his whole life and the good that he did and the period that you knew him. I trust I have given an accurate reflection of our brother. Many of you will have your own individual experiences because he touched so many people's lives. He would help anybody and even personally assisted in the rehabilitation of several people that he took into his home, which requires a lot of effort, time and trust and commitment. And this shows how much he cared. He was a real people person. The world would be much better, a better place, if we had more people with such qualities. My sister Andrea wrote something I would like to share with you all. Because as the scriptures say, we must be our brother's keeper. This is from my sister Andrea. Just over 2 months ago, I'm losing my brother, Dennis. The pain is still real, the love is still real, and the message remains important. He was deeply loved. He was cherished, and through everything, even when misunderstood, even when he pushed us away, even when it hurt, we loved him. We advocated for him, and we always had his best interests at heart. Please check on your loved ones, truly, gently, and honestly. Don't assume someone is okay because they look okay and say they are okay. To anyone supporting someone struggling, please don't give up on them. And to anyone struggling, you are not weak, you are not a burden and not alone. You are loved, and your life matters. To our men, especially black men, we must break the silence and the stigma. It is okay not to be okay. Asking for help is courage. It can save a life. We honor Dennis. We remember him with love. And we pray for compassion, healing, and understanding for every heart. May we love better. May we listen better. May we never be afraid to speak up. Speak up and not man up. My brother believed in Yeshua, some call him Jesus. He believed in Yeshua as his personal savior. We trust in the mercy and compassion of Yahweh, some say God, knowing that nothing, not even death, can separate us from the love of God through the Messiah, Yeshua. God understands human pain and weakness, and he is near to the brokenhearted. We place my brother in his loving and mercy, in the loving and merciful hands of Yahweh, and trust that his soul has gone on to rest in perfect peace and will rise in glory. Can you play my tribute to my brother, please?
If you give a little more than you take, and if you try to fix more than you break, if you're the kind who takes the time to help a stranger in the rain, there's a place for people like you. If you stand up for those down on their knees and lend a voice to those who cannot speak, if you shine a little light, give sight to the ones who've lost their way, there's a place for people like you. I've heard that the streets are made of gold, and when you get there, there's a hand to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place up there for people like you. If you walk around with your heart on your sleeve, and if you're trying to be the change you wanna see, if you lay down your life for a love so someone could be saved, there's a place for people like you. I've heard that the streets are made of gold, and when you get there, there's a hand to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place out there for people like you. There the streets are made of gold, and when you get there, there's a hand to hold. I believe when your days down here are through, there's a place up there for people like you. I know you're out there, so keep doing what you do, 'cause there's a place up there for people like you. What of many young people we are.
One, two. I just have one poem here that I'd like to read on behalf of my mother. I wasn't there to say goodbye, to to reminisce of times gone by. I wasn't there to make you smile, to tell you old stories and laugh a while. I wasn't there to talk of fun, the happy times in life's long run. I wasn't there to share the years, those times of happiness and tears. I wasn't there to hear your fear or leaving those you held so dear. I wasn't there to feel your pain. You knew we'd never meet again. I wasn't there to hold your hand when you parted from this land. I wasn't there to share our love before you joined the stars above. I wasn't there, I shed a tear. In my heart, you're always there. Thank you.
Before we call Reese up, I'd just like to thank Sister Pauline for setting the seed of talking about our loved ones when they're mentally struggling, because it's such a huge and sensitive subject, and I'm hoping that as well as we're going to be here today to celebrate Brother Dennis's life and to send him back home, I'm hoping that people who you know who are struggling, including people in this room today, it will have an effect on you and that you'll be able to make some different choices after today, because it is really, really crucial. And I'm talking from personal experience because I come from a very long line of mental health relatives. So I'm not just saying professionally and backing what Sister Pauline's mentioned, but I'm also talking from a personal perspective too. So thank you, Sister Pauline, because it's really key. Can I invite Reese, Brother Dennis's son, to come and give your tribute now? Thank you.
Hello. I just want to say that, first of all, that was a beautiful eulogy from Pauline, so thank you. Some of you may be wondering why we're here today at Bowlers Exhibition Centre and not in a church. Well, I asked my dad the same question once. I said, "Dad, you're a man of faith. Why don't you go to church?" Looked at me and said, "I don't worship sticks or stones. I've got 2 temples. That's enough." And I said, "What do you mean you've got 2 temples?" He smiled and he said, "2 temples, duh." Other side of your head. That was my dad. A man who carried his faith in his mind and certainly in his heart. Not in a building. So it feels right that we're here today. In a space without walls defining what we should believe. Just us gathered today, together. to honour him. And Pauline was so right. My dad was a grafter. Started Dougie's, inspired by Grandma Helen's cooking, and I don't know if you ever tried her home cooking. Boy, I've never had Caribbean food like it. They later moved to Greater Western Street, taking over the old Advino's patty shop premises, where I helped to make the patties. And Dougie's uptown in Chorlton, right next to the library. And as Pauline touched on, there was a food van business, and a business in Cuba, and a bar in Bolton. By day, he had been a youth worker for the council, and also worked at Dougie's, and by night, yes, he was at Bar Base in Bolton. And he didn't just own it, he also was a bouncer of his own club, alongside his best friend Tosh. Where's Tosh? It's nice to see you again, Tosh. Rio Ferdinand, Dwight York, Andy Cole, they were all customers at Dougie's. But that shop was never about celebrities. It was community. There was a 14-year-old called Patrick who used to swagger into that shop with his hood up demanding food, never saying please or thank you. One day my dad asked him, "Why the hood up? Is there a hole in our roof?" Then he said, "Why should I serve someone who never says please or thank you?" Patrick opened up to my dad. He admitted he was ashamed he couldn't spell, ashamed to go to school. My dad didn't lecture him. He pointed him to the library computers with free spell check, connected him with a local youth club. Patrick's attendance went from 0 to 35% in 3 months. Dad gave him a signed Dwight York football as a prize. It hung up in the shop for years. I'm sure many of you remember the celebrity board in Dougie's. And there was another young man, 25, a father of 3, who had to leap from a flat window to escape a rival gang. My dad used his contacts to relocate him out of Moss Side entirely. That man went on to doing a full-time paid youth work job in Wythenshawe. When asked by a journalist, my dad once said, "Yes, I work in Dougie's, but I'm certainly more than a chicken fryer." Dougie's sat right across from the Gooch Close and Doddington Close estates. 5 murders in that area, the year the Guardian wrote about it. But Dougie's was neutral ground. Gooch, Doddington, Longside, Salford, they all came through and they left their troubles at the door. Nobody ever taxed Dougie's. The Douglas name commanded respect. And to my Grandma Helen, she wasn't just my grandma, she was everyone's grandma. And this goes for later in life with the same thing with my dad and his dogs. And as we've all seen, a man of change. In his last days, yes, he had his Chorlton bullies, and they did look like bullies. Big, intimidating dogs, enough to scare the living hell out of anybody. But in fact, he used those dogs as a beacon. He would let people walk them, feed them. People who were scared of dogs would overcome their fear, and in doing so, they would open up to him. He did this with the homeless especially. He'd tell them to stand up, and he'd feed them. He'd give them hope when they felt nobody in the world cared. Those dogs were his beacon, and another way to reach people who needed reaching. Now I want to talk about my dad as a father. He sent me to St. Bede's private preparatory school, which is an example of how much he wanted the best for me. Though I'm not too sure he was impressed when he got called out of work to be told his son was playing too hard in the playground, or the fact that they couldn't control a 7-year-old. Little did he know what a wind-up merchant I was, probably why I ended up in Waterloo Road. I was well equipped and highly experienced. Every weekend, I'd see him once a week, mainly. And I'd clean his house, and I'd clean his car. Then we'd go to Grandma Helen's for Sunday dinner. And afterwards, he'd promised to take me to Manley Park in Chorlton with my mini-cross motorbike, this little bike, and boy did I love the thrill of that. I used to rip up Manley Park on that bike. But sometimes after all that, the cleaning, the dinner, the promises, he'd fall asleep. Because that man was exhausted. He never stopped working. And as a child, I'll be honest, wasn't my idea of an ideal weekend. Because cleaning somebody's house and car every weekend wasn't my idea of fun. And if I didn't hear him, and I didn't listen to him, boy would I feel it. And some of you will know what I mean when I say, let's call it Caribbean tradition. Whoosh. Looking back now, I see it so differently. He worked himself to the bone so I could have opportunities. He fell asleep at Grand's because he'd given everything he had. His love was always there for me. Always. Me and my dad didn't speak for a long time. It wasn't until September 2024 that we truly reconnected. I had what I can only describe as a spiritual awakening. And a voice in my head, one day, clear as day, asked me to move to my grandma's. I've got a very personal journal that I used to write in every month. And one month, one night, I didn't write in it. I felt guilty. I put it on my bedroom windowsill, didn't put it on properly, and it fell off, and it hit me on my foot. The next day, my dad decided to call me, and we had a 2-hour phone call. I was ranting. I was angry about the years we'd lost. And why was he only talking to me now about God, Yahweh? Why hadn't we had a real relationship for all of those years? And then out of nowhere, he said, "How was that book that fell on your foot? Did it hurt?" I hadn't told him. I was at my grandma's. He knew, or some may say, he was informed. Just like when I was told to move to my grandma's, and then shortly after, with my second home now in Costa Rica. That was the moment I understood something bigger was at play here. Something connecting us. Our relationship changed forever from that day. And that is when my dad introduced me to become a Hebrew Israelite. After that call, my dad took me to Scotland in December 2024. Not as a trip away, and not by chance. He took me there because it mattered. We went to Douglas in Scotland. Our name, our land, a lineage, and a house that has carried that name for centuries. Myself and his ex-partner Amy, we walked together through old burial grounds and historical sites where Douglas was carved into stone. Not as a memory, but as a record. This was not something adopted later in life. It was something that had been deeply preserved. Everywhere we went, the same symbol appeared. The lion, rampant, crowned, upright, and unbroken. In scripture, the lion is not just an image. It's a sign of Judah, the royal tribe, the bearer of kingship and covenant. The Lion of Judah. My dad taught me that the 12 tribes of Israel were scattered. They did not disappear, they migrated. Their names changed, their borders shifted, but their lineage, authorities and symbols endured. What the world later called Scottish heraldry, he understood as something far older. Identity carried forward through exile and time. Douglas was not just a surname to him, it was evidence. A name tied to land, rulership and continuity. A witness that lineage does not vanish when nations fall. It moves, it adapts, and it survives. This is why he referred to the Lion of Judah, a Jacobite from the lineage of Jacob. In his book, he referred to as the basic information before leaving earth. And for anybody that's not read it, it's also known as the Bible. It's a great read, honestly. I'd give it a five-star review from myself. But this wasn't just about being sentimental, but intentional. A reminder that inheritance is not about pride, but responsibility. That identity comes from the Most High, not from institutions, history books, buildings, or churches. Finding and practicing faith through my dad filled me with an abundance of love for him. It made us realise who we truly are, how special the world is, and the grace of God's creation. He didn't take me to Scotland to tell me who I was becoming. He took me there to show me who we already are and who we are accountable to. Through his Hebrew Israelite teachings, my dad gave me the 7 keys: wisdom, understanding, knowledge, counsel, righteousness, might, and the fear of the Creator. He taught me about the Sabbath, about the tribe of Judah, about identity and inheritance. But I don't just stand here today to talk just about faith. It's the small things I remember that I never felt from my dad as a child. We had so many movie nights when I was in Costa Rica. Video calls at all hours, although I was 7 hours behind. We belly laughed in ways I had never laughed with my father in all of my years as a child. And we can all sit here today and say some of the links and videos he would send constantly were very questionable. But just like anything in life, it's down to each of us to eat the chicken and spit the bones out. And those are his words, not mine. He sent me a message once that said, "You shine light. I love to see you elevating, son." In his last days, we sat on the settee, and for the first time, when our eyes began to see, and we could hear what he felt, many could not. What I told him. On September the 14th, 2025, I sent my dad a message. I told him I was so proud of him. From taking back everything that I felt against my father in the early years, but really reflecting on the council work, the youth clubs, the food business, for being wise, hard-working, and the man he has become. I wrote, "The world is yet to see what our love is, and despite our past, what is yet to come." I told him I truly now know what love is, because since having you back in my life, I know my heart is now filled. I love you so much. I said you would never walk alone, Dad. Little did I know he would choose to move on to the next phase, and it would now be me, in fact, stood here with him looking down on me. But by God's grace, I'm so grateful as I was able to share this newly found relationship with my dad. And although he's no longer here in flesh, I have never felt his presence so strong in my conscience and spirit. I remember a man who was so strong-minded, who never gave up on anyone, a man who was hard-working, from Moss Lane West to Great Western, to Chorlton, to Bolton, to Cuba, a man who created a sacred space where enemies could stand together, where young people found hope, and where the homeless found dignity. He said he was more than a chicken fryer, and boy was he. He was a youth worker, a business owner, a bouncer, a father, a teacher, a man of faith, a grafter, a Douglas, and a man of God. But throughout all, he was my dad. God bless you, Dad.
Thank you, Reese. I often say that, eulogies are really powerful, and it's sad sometimes because it's like we only really get to know somebody when they've passed, unless they've had the opportunity to write a biography or do their life story. But it always makes me want to say to the congregation, what will people say about you when you're gone? And if you woke up today, you can still make a difference and allow your people to say some amazing things about you when your time comes for you to go through those pearly gates. I'd like us to sing our song, one of our songs, if that's okay. Yeah? Is that better? Apologies for those that didn't hear. The words are in your booklet, and for those who can stand, I'm inviting you to join us and sing our first song. This Little Light of Mine.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. The light that shines is the light of love, lights the darkness from above. It shines on me and it shines on you, shows what the power of love can do. Shine my light both far and near, shine my light both bright and clear. And where there's a dark corner in this land, I'm gonna let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Monday gave me the gift of love, Tuesday peace came from above, Wednesday told me to have more faith, Thursday gave me a little more grace, Friday told me to watch and pray, Saturday told me what to say, Sunday gave me the power divine to let my little light shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, 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 let it shine.